I'm with him. I'm with him on that.
You with him on what?
On what?
It's best for him and his family to get out of there.
Why?
Why?
All right, listen. First of all, he started off the season in handcuffs in Miami.
True.
Like, why do I want to come back to this city where I'm in handcuffs, I'm not making the playoffs, and I'm not winning?
You mean I forgot literally?
Yeah. Okay. He got arrested in front of the arena. Why I want to come back to this city? I'm getting arrested. They don't know me. I'm not making the playoffs. We're not winning. I feel you on that. And he getting up there in age, Joey Key, and Mike, that he's been to the mountaintop. So he's like, I'm not towards the end. I want to win, and I don't want to have to deal with this, what I had to deal with this year. So I'm feeling him on all that. You know what I'm saying? You don't, like, come on. Man, this is a cheater.
He definitely had a rough year, though.
Yeah.
Whether it was his house
He's not overreacting
partially caught on fire,
right,
to being put in handcuffs, to his quarterback being injured, to him coming back and saying, we're going to make a run, and hoping and feeling and praying that they make a run, and looking up, and he doesn't get that 1,000 yards that he could have gotten. I'm sure there was some incentives probably tied to that. And he also is looking at, when you go, Michael would know nothing about this. Me and Paul know about this because we played on different teams. Michael only with the Cowboys, so he never had an opportunity to go elsewhere to get a bag and enjoy the bag. The bag was already in Dallas. Mm-hmm. We went other places and got money and was able to see, oh, man, okay, this is cool. We're going to be all right. And then when that money settles down, and you looking up and you looking at your Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, them every year, they going to the AFC Championship game and on the brink of the Super Bowl, and you fighting, scratching, and clawing to get a home playoff game, let alone losing on the road in the cold every year. You sit back and you go, man, I can't deal with this anymore. And that's all frustration. That's all that is.
Is he overreacting?
He's not. Okay, I'm not a damn psych, but what I would say is, if you give him a cool-down period, which he'll have over the next couple days, he won't respond that way. He just won't. To answer your question...
He still might feel that way.
But he might feel that way. To answer your question, the cool-down period didn't happen, so he's kind of like reacting to the question. If that question is given to him today, tomorrow, the next day, I don't think he responds that way.
But to Paul's point, does he feel that way still? Right. Does he still want...
Well, if I can get to Kansas City, I'm going to Kansas City. Or if I can get to Buffalo or Green Bay or some of these teams or Philadelphia that legitimately have an opportunity, they don't legitimately have an opportunity to win the Super Bowl.
It's different.
But those other teams, every year, they got a legitimate shot. They don't have a legitimate shot because they're never going to have home field advantage.
Right.
But he orchestrated this from what we gather. This is where he wanted to be. This is where he wanted to go. Drew Rosenhaus.
Yes, because I want my money.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand.
The money is over with now.
I won a championship. I got my money now in warm weather in the beach.
Kansas City back then said they would possibly match the contract, but he went to Miami. So now you're in Miami. This, I thought, was overreaction. I didn't think it was overreaction. I understand what Key's saying about, once that thing settles down, even though I've never ventured into that other side. But when you got 119 catches in 2020.
Yeah, that's cool. I got my money.
1,700 yards.
I have my money.
You came back with another 119 in next year for 1,799.
Every year you mentioned I was paid.
Right. And then that third year you get 81 for 959.
And we ain't going to the playoffs?
And Mike Irvin just got led straight. I can't, I'm telling you that it has something to do with it.
No, it does. All it does.
About this
but you mentioned it, everything you mentioned about his statistics was playoffs.
Right.
Too. They was going to the playoffs.
Right.
Statistics down, and we ain't going to the playoffs?
I saw yesterday, right? I saw in the game, right? They had two receivers. They stacked Tyreek Hill as the third. Both receivers went up. Tyreek Hill ran a quick out. Kind of they're shielding the DBs. Both cornerbacks, both DBs went to Tyreek Hill and left the other receivers open. That's the kind of attention Tyreek Hill is going to draw. It takes something to draw up plays for Tyreek Hill because everybody's so destined and trying to stop him. I think he just overreacted here. He's upset. I understand that. He's disappointed. And this has been a tough year, and he's played a lot of it without his quarterback. And he's coming up short. So He's just frustrated.
No,
right now.
he's certainly frustrated.
This has been a bad week for Miami players. Jimmy Butler, now Tyreek Hill. Everybody went out of Miami.
Why are we bringing up all that?
I don't know why they want to get up.
I'm just saying, what's going on? Everybody went out of Miami. What's so?
Michael's not trying to get up out of Miami.
Why are you trying to get up in Miami?
I'm trying to make sure I can't live. I can't live there. I can just, even though I'm from there.
I mean,
I ain't good enough.
he's going into his 10th year. I do think that has something to do with it. He is upset that they missed the playoffs.
Yeah.
That has something to do with it. But Michael's right. The numbers are down significantly. His targets are
It's
down.
almost
His
half.
receptions are down.
that's bad.
His receiving yards are down significantly. His receiving yards per game are down almost half. Receiving touchdowns are cut in half. His numbers have essentially been cut in half, and that's because his quarterback wasn't available this year. But he is notorious for not being available. So when he's looking at the entirety of how things have gone this season, from all the way at the beginning, as Paul outlined, to now, considering the fact that he is completely reliant on that quarterback being healthy in order for him to get any numbers whatsoever, and numbers matter to receivers, right?
It does, but those numbers were not going to change significantly to the point where he was going to get back to where he was the first 3 years. Remember, a month ago when Tua came back, one of the first things Tyreek said is, we back. Watch out for us.
What he wasn't counting for is the fact that
they was going to miss the playoffs.
Tua was going to be out.
And they were going to miss the playoffs.
And then they were going to miss the playoffs.
Yeah, he wasn't counting for that.
So he might not be saying this if they did find a way to make the playoffs and Tua stayed healthy. But what do you say? Ifs and buts.
Right. But what I'm asking him is, when I'm directing towards, come on, like Tyreek, I know, okay, 959 yards, and you used to, that's almost half of what you used to, but Mike McDaniels is trying to get that ball to you.
I don't think it's about getting the football. I think it's more about the frustration of not winning. The man went to 9 straight playoff appearances. I'm looking at the Dallas Cowboys every year going to the Super Bowl. And I once was a part of the Dallas Cowboys. Now, all of a sudden, I'm on another team. I got my money, but we can't get nowhere near the Super Bowl. That's what's in his mind.
I extrapolated that he's using the playoff stuff to really get his point across about his numbers.
See, I ain't gonna say that.
I ain't
gonna say that.
He missed the playoff again.
I ain't gonna say that, though, Mike.
But not a bad way, because he's saying if I would have had 1,700 yards, we would be in the playoffs.
But he wasn't gonna never have 1,700 because he didn't have a quarterback.
Correct.
But he doesn't know
never
if
have.
his quarterback is going to be healthy all season long next year either.
Right.
Now, he's not saying that either, but that's a part of this.
I'm sure it is part of it.
He's 19th. Tyreek Hill, a guy that, we do the rankings and the whole thing.
He's one of the top 5 receivers in the league.
One of the top 5 receivers in the league is 19th in targets, 21st in receptions, 30th in receiving yards, and 35th in receiving touchdowns this year. That's not acceptable for someone of his caliber.
Right. And we came to you and said, we know you're underpaid, even though you got a lot of money. You'll take some more because we love you. And right after we did all that and early in the season, now you come back and say, I'm out of here.
But I don't think it has anything to do with the money, because he's going to get the money regardless. I think it's more about the opportunity to still win. He really felt like he could win in Miami when he got there. Because it was all the hype. It was a tour. We got Waddle.
No, I remember he said he's the most accurate quarterback.
Yeah, he helped the Miami Dolphins push to sign to it. But when all of that candy runs out, and you sitting there and you looking, and you see Patrick Mahomes jumping up and down, and you looking over there, and you saying to yourself, "Damn, I sure wish I could somehow figure out how to."
See, I would be with that. I would be going with that if you didn't leave Kansas City. You know what I mean? You were right over there.
But that was an emotional leave, because even though you wanted to pay me in Kansas City, you didn't want to pay me at the time that I was asking you to. If somebody else stepped up to the plate, then you came back and said, "Okay, I'll do it."
I don't blame him for going to Miami, and he completely bought in. But after a few years of,
he can see it. He like this ain't it.
And the issues continue to remain, and that Tua cannot stay healthy, and
he can see it.
If you're getting to the postseason, you're getting knocked out immediately if you make the postseason, which they didn't this year. So it's got to be frustrating for someone who has those kind of expectations.
What he sees is he needs, he went to be the guy in Miami. He's the guy in Miami. he had other help in places, those other places. So, Travis Kelce and all. Now you're learning because he's getting older also. He says, I can't do this by myself. I need that help. I need those other players. And that's why he's saying, we'll see. We want to see what they bring in here. We're going to see what they get done for this year. But I got to do what's best for me and my family. I understand that part, but I know he's frustrated with the losing, but he's also frustrated with we're not getting them 1,700 yards.
Yeah. Well, over to the MVP race. Lamar Jackson had nearly 300 total yards and 2 passing touchdowns in the Ravens' 35-10 win over the Browns. Lamar also helped the Ravens clinch the division title with the win. So, Paul, did Lamar Jackson do enough to win the MVP?
Man, this is a tough one. I've been screaming Josh Allen all year long. I really don't know if there's anything he could have did today. But when you look at the numbers, he's having one of the more historical seasons. But then I tell people, listen, let's not look at the numbers. Throw the numbers out because the numbers are going to be there. They both have MVP-ish numbers. Watch the games. Watch what they did in the big-time moments. That's what I take from this. Right. When you watch Josh, and he had that historic game, these historic games back one after another. He had like a 3-week stretch to where he just was dominant, and it was about the stage it was on. Now, Lamar's been dominant all year long, but on those big stage games in prime time, when I seen Josh do what he did, he just amazed me because he doesn't have 9 Pro Bowlers like the Ravens does.
Right.
It's just him against the world. And when he's carrying a team with the statistics and the record and doing the things he did in a year that he wasn't supposed to be even a playoff team, that screams volumes to me to be the MVP. And this doesn't take anything away from what Lamar does because Lamar is probably the best quarterback without the accolades or the Super Bowls like Mahomes. Just talent-wise, we've never seen anything like him. But this year, the most valuable player is Josh Allen.
Key?
It can go either way for me, to be honest with you, but I saw Lamar, this weekend. I saw Lamar again on Christmas. Mm-hmm. That just sticks in my brain. I didn't see Josh Allen yesterday.
Well, you didn't see him because they were so good throughout the year that he didn't need to play.
I understand. No, I get it. I didn't see him. So did Lamar do enough to sway the voters?
Steal that thing.
And really steal it? Mm-hmm. Did he do enough? I think he did enough now until the voting system changed back in 2022. It's changed now to more of a point system. I thought, okay, well, maybe they could split it somehow. Steve McNair, Peyton Manning, because you get both of them get a piece of the pie.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know. I just don't know. It's going to be a close call.
But they both had MVP level seasons.
Of
so
course.
It's not like one person is going to be robbed if
Well, they will be robbed because they won't have the trophy.
You're right, but yes. But the reality, it won't be one of those moments where it's like they didn't deserve it. Whoever wins it will have deserved it. To me, I don't like that we didn't see Josh Allen yesterday because we didn't see Josh Allen yesterday because he was so good that he put his position in a team where he didn't have to play yesterday. The Ravens not only needed Lamar to play yesterday, they needed to win that game in order to win the division.
But is there a caveat, Michael, to people going to say, well, when they played against each other head-to-head, Lamar got the best of the Buffalo Bills. Where was the MVP at? Because that'll be a conversation that comes up. Because we had that conversation about head-to-heads. And Lamar beat him head-to-head.
He did. And then you could say, well, what did the Bills do with the Chiefs?
Right, exactly.
No, I get all that.
So, and again, it's splitting hairs to me.
And it's right.
Well, give it to Josh Allen, man.
I think Saquon should be the MVP, but they're not going to give it to Saquon.
But when you look at what Josh has done, Josh has 12 rushing touchdowns. Lamar Jackson has 975 rushing yards, but only 4 rushing touchdowns because he got that beast to help him get that thing done. You know what I mean? And Derrick Henry. Josh has to do all of that. I keep talking distance traveled in this whole situation. You guys mentioned it. Lamar needed that game yesterday. Josh was sitting out. We talked about this a couple weeks ago.
Michael,
what happens towards the end is almost like the Heisman Trophy.
The New England Patriots, the New York Jets, and the Miami Dolphins.
Right.
Within the division. You're going to win that division.
Okay.
But they weren't expected to win the division.
Okay, but he didn't just beat those sorry teams. She just told you he beat the best team, the Chiefs.
He beat the Chiefs.
If you're going to doubt him and dock him for playing those sorry teams, you got to give him so many props for beating the best team in the Chiefs. That was the only
Detroit.
I'm not docking him.
In Detroit.
I'm not docking him at all.
And he didn't have, Paul said, them 9 Pro Bowls. That's 5 on offense this year. Both tight ends done been in the game. They just ain't on the Pro Bowl this year. They got 2 number 1 draft pick wide receivers. I mean, he has everything. He should be having this kind of year, the kind of year he's having. Josh Allen doesn't have everything, and he shouldn't be having this kind of year. That's why I give it to him.
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.